Hey Bandido, so I have an updated Valby build for you that's perfect for mobbing. No, this is not a supply moisture build. This is not a crit build. This is a Valby build that uses some awesome synergies and her full kit. So this build is all about spamming her abilities. I mean, non-stop, because it's built to be able to do these 400% infiltrations solo. Let's get into it.
Makes it exciting!
This is built around Spiral Tidal Wave, which you most often see for the Gluttony fight. It turns her number 1 into a very destructive projectile. You gotta remember, her number 1's got a very good multiplier on it, 500%. And I got it where you could just spam this thing. What's really cool about it is the synergy that it brings with her number 4. Her laundry bomb, that cannon that nobody really uses. Okay, well, for 400% infiltrations, that thing is amazing. It's a crowd control tool, just like Lepic's traction grenade. I think originally when Valby came out, it was sort of rated as a low use case weapon. And because of that, it's getting ignored for the 400% infiltrations, but it's a fabulous tool and also has this synergy with this Spiral Tidal Wave. It's actually got a long duration on the laundry bomb launcher. You can launch your Spiral Tidal Wave while you have laundry bomb equipped in hand. So you can suck people up or traction them or tow them. At the same time, launch your Spiral Tidal Waves to those enemies while they are towed. The damage is increased per entity that is sucked up in there. That cap's at 200%, which is still pretty high. You hit that cap super easy in these 400% infiltrations because there's so many enemies. But what's also cool is the synergy in the external component set. Slayer gives you resources back when you kill an enemy that is towed. And so what I'm finding is that these stacking synergies are giving her tremendous crowd control and power. So that's the good stuff. Let's walk through the build. So let's start with cooldowns, shall we? So first up, we are going to load in Nimble Fingers, which is going to give us 25.6% cooldown. So more cooldown is going to come from her damage mods. So we're going to put on her focus mods, which is focus on non-attribute, so 77.2% skill power there. And then we get a skill cooldown of 6.1%. And then we're going to take focus on dimension, and that's 68% skill power modifier, and then 6.1% cooldown. So that's 3 out of our 4 cooldown mods. And then our final cooldown is going to come from MP conversion, which is giving us 36.5% cooldown at a cost of MP, but we're not worried about MP on this build. She's got us covered. Real quick, I want to let you know that as an option, you can run multi-talented here, and I did that a lot and really enjoyed it. And it's an awesome way to go. That's going to push you just slightly over the 90% cooldown reduction cap, but only by a couple of percent. And you're going to be super fast with all of your skills. However, if you have a reactor with cooldown on it, then you can fall just below the cap and be okay too. And that's the route that I'm going to build in today. Let's finish loading up her damage. So we need to hit super hard enough to solo these infiltrations at 400% without running crits. And there's a new way to do that. We have Dimension Amplification, which gives us 61% skill power modifier on Dimension at a cost of skill critical hit rate. We're okay with that. Next, we have non-attribute skill power at 65% at a cost of skill crit hit damage. So if you want your cooldowns to be super fast, you're not going to be rolling into crits. You have amazing power on this build. Now here's a surprise up our sleeve. We're able to run Decimator. That's because when defeating an enemy inflicted with debuffs, which is the water junk, skill power modifier plus 5% per defeated enemy for 10 seconds up to 10 stacks. So that's 50% skill power modifier. So now we're fully loaded, but we want our damage to go far and wide, right? So let's go ahead and add some range by running the basic skill expansion mod for 92% increase in range. It's helpful for all her skills, but her laundry needs a little bit of range push. So I'm also running range on the reactor. So now let's add part of her survivability, which is going to be the HP mod at 218%. That's basically like 400% with Valby because she's got that 50% damage reduction. So think of her health kit as like twice as much because of that. You don't need to overdo it because she can quickly recover by grabbing lots of consumables on the ground. So it's really a tough choice on whether you go HP collector or MP collector. I just go back and forth sort of depending on the dungeon, and luckily they're the same catalyst type, so just go with whatever one you love. This final slot is a flexible slot, so the gun is super helpful. So it's the Peacemaker, and you can only get this gun from Gluttony, but there is a part for sale currently at the ETA 0 vendor, so sometimes you can get lucky there also. But I have rounds per magazine. That's going to help with her number 4, the laundry bomb. Everything else didn't really matter to me, and when I do shoot, I'm not shooting with this. The most important mods are actually the expand weapon charge or larger magazine. So these are the big ones. Otherwise, they have fire rate up, and then also rifling reinforcement. Fence master, so that she can have a lift in defense for 10 seconds when defeating an enemy, which is basically always. So there is the 15-second cooldown. Just by holding this weapon while killing enemies, even if she doesn't shoot it, she's gonna get that buff. These are for the laundry bomb launcher to have lots of shots, and I have lots of shots on that thing, and this gun is bringing something to the table. It says when using a dimension or fusion, which she's using both, grants the unique ability single reload for peace. When single reload for peace is at max stacks, shooting while aiming rapidly fires all loaded rounds. It's crazy, but we're not really doing that. What we're using is the passive. There's no skill cost when you have this leveled up, and they're eventually going to remove that anyways from this gun. You have to get this fully leveled in order to remove the skill cost. Otherwise, you're getting a non-attribute skill power boost, and it's stacking up to 5 times. So with Valby, you don't even have to worry about it. Just have this weapon in hand. You need to shoot something. I recommend using the Enduring Legacy. So I just have a standard Enduring Legacy build here. I'm not going to walk through each of the pieces. It's really set up for my boss fights with Enzo. So, you know, I just keep it the same for all of my Descendants because it's just really strong. And at this stage, it's just like, I'm not going to re-roll this thing for every Descendant. It's strong as it is. Good enough. That's my feelings about that. So it's the Slayer set. We're running 4 pieces. That's giving us general rounds. We don't care. Skill costs at 15%. We don't care. We have that handled. But the skill power is really nice. But what I'm also after is that when defeating enemies inflicted with Toad, which is why we're using her ultimate a lot, we're going to recover MP and specialized resources, but MP by 12.2% at a 70% chance. And we're just sucking up so many enemies in that thing that it's hitting its 200% damage cap while we're spamming our number 1 into that pile of enemies and getting all of our MP back. And that's how we're able to do this solo without having MP issues. So you're going to want to make sure you have the best stats that you can on Slayer, and that means getting your HP as high as possible and all of your MP stats, especially max MP here. And then on the memory unit, it's most important that you have that MP recovery modifier. That's a big deal. Without that, you're pretty much suffering. Item acquisition distance increase modifier is also really nice for those Descendants that are moving around a lot. For the reactor, you're going to want a non-attribute with dimension. And on mine, I'm running skill effect range with skill cooldown. You have options here. I like having a range. Cooldown allows me to really spam my skills. If you don't have cooldown on here, I recommend putting multi-talented instead of decimator on the build. Trust me, you're not missing out on damage from decimator. You're very strong with this build. Everybody's dying. Hopefully the gameplay shows that. But because I had the choice, I'd rather have the cooldown on the reactor, and that opened up more damage, so I'll take it. So if you get this reactor, then awesome. If you didn't want to run range here, dimension or non-attribute damage would be cool there. You could also go skill cost, but I'd rather have range than cost here. And just make sure you have that Peacemaker mount on here, and don't forget to optimize your reactor for just a little bit more damage. And as far as stats here, you can see we are sitting at 81% skill cooldown. That's the stat that really matters here. And that's the Valby build, and you're gonna love it. A Gluttony build converted to a 400% infiltration Slayer that can keep up with Freyna and Bunny. You're super fast, and you're destroying everything, and you got tons of survivability. More than most. If you have any ideas for this build, feel free to share them. Catch you on the next one. Thank you for hanging out with me. My name is Tuxedo Bandido. That's Tito Bandido.
One and only.
And this was another episode of The First Descendant. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to ensure you don't miss out on the fantastic experiences waiting for you in The First Descendant. And if you like videos like this, check out the one I have recommended for you right here. If you have anything you want to see covered, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make everything possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be without you.
When you buy or download anything for the First Descendant, be sure to use Tux's creator code to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Follow me.